Imagine building a life with someone, sharing dreams, and accumulating possessions. But what happens if those paths diverge and you need to figure out who owns what? Understanding how assets are categorized is a key part of navigating financial aspects in relationships. The core distinction between marital and separate property lies in when and how assets were acquired. Generally, marital property includes almost everything a couple acquires from the date of marriage until legal separation, irrespective of whose name it is in. Separate property, on the other hand, typically refers to assets one spouse owned entirely before the marriage, or received individually as a gift or inheritance during the marriage. The why behind these classifications often comes down to legal principles and state laws. Most states operate under either a community property system or an equitable distribution system. Community property states typically consider assets acquired during marriage as belonging equally to both spouses, while equitable distribution states aim for a fair, though not necessarily equal, division. The key factors determining classification include the timing of acquisition, whether the asset was a gift or inheritance specifically to one spouse, and whether separate assets were mixed or commingled with marital assets. For example, a house purchased during the marriage with joint funds is usually marital property. However, a family heirloom that one spouse inherited during the marriage would generally remain as their separate property. Even if a separate asset, like a house owned before marriage, increases in value during the marriage, that increase might be considered marital property depending on the state and if marital efforts contributed to its growth. This is where things can get complex, as the line between separate and marital can blur over time. So, how can you protect or clarify your assets? Keeping clear and separate financial records is paramount. For instance, maintaining separate bank accounts for inherited money and ensuring that these funds are not used to pay for joint marital expenses can help preserve their separate status. For couples entering marriage with significant assets, a prenuptial agreement can clearly define what remains separate property. If you receive a large gift or inheritance during marriage, it is wise to keep it distinct from joint marital funds. An interesting legal concept is transmutation, where separate property can unintentionally become marital property through actions like commingling funds or adding a spouse's name to a title. Conversely, tracing is the legal process of following the origin of funds to prove an asset's separate nature, even if it has been mixed. Understanding these terms can highlight the importance of diligent record-keeping and clear agreements. Ultimately, comprehending the difference between marital and separate property empowers you to make informed decisions about your financial future and navigate potential legal situations with greater clarity. It is about understanding the rules of asset ownership, which can lead to more secure and predictable outcomes, allowing you to focus on what matters most in your life.